So you actually kind of just brought up and made me think about English teaching in a different way. And I think your exact phrase was people who teach English, one of the reasons why they do it is because they are attracted to dialogue. And I've heard that said in a different way at the college level in terms of, there's typically only one way osmosis works, right? So like every year, I know I brought up a science topic, but, a lot of science concepts, like I'm a big advocate of dialogue in the science classroom. People who know my work know that. But there's certainly a lot of proofs that we are no longer disputing thermodynamics, etc. So to some extent, those kinds of discussions are leading to the same conclusion, whether it's intro bio in 2020, 2021, whatever, right? But what it sounds like is you can teach Huckleberry Finn or whatever, and next year's class will take something a whole different tack from it than last year's class and the classes after that. And that's part of the beauty of it. But also with that, 1B is this class only makes sense if we are in conversation, right? That's the whole point of this, right? This is not me coming to tell you. And I guess right now I feel like that process and that way of thinking about education has a lot to teach the world and particularly our society right now. The value of dialogue, the value of listening, the value of hearing different points of view, the value of bringing life experience to an opinion, to a classic text. I wonder if that's just something you've thought about, whether it was when you were actually teaching or even when you consult with teachers now. This sort of special place that classroom has to teach that particular skill, especially in the communities that you've worked in.
That is it's a good question. Also such a big question.
I know. That's why we end with it.
So I want to be careful because all subjects do this to a certain extent.
I agree with you 100%.
But especially with English, you are teaching always a combination of material and you're teaching some type of thinking skill along with that material. But there's not in math, you have the exact match.
Right.
You're teaching the division problems, but then you're also teaching how to solve division problems and how to understand division. When you teach Romeo and Juliet, and that, by the way, I taught that 36 times
Not that
as
you're
a
counting
high school
teacher.
Until I begged my principal to give me a different class because I just could not with that anymore. But it's a good story. So strongly recommend. 5 stars.
Summer's Night Dream.
But still, when you're teaching Romeo and Juliet, what thinking skill is supposed to go along with that? Is it understanding language that's from hundreds of years ago? Is it looking at things from different points of view of characters that all have a distinct and right point of view? Is it just knowing one of the classics that people will refer to your whole life? Is it appreciating drama? Or is there some other, do we want to have a debate about this? And if so, what do we want to debate? And anything you read can be approached in so many different ways. And some of it is going to come from, what do you think these students need from this experience?
Right.
So there's just more ways of combining thinking skills, communication skills, critical thinking, which is very hard to teach on its own, but I do think is tremendously a responsibility of an English teacher, and it's always a puzzle to figure out. And how to, where do you start and what's your goal even, right? Because at the end of the year, students are going to take a certain kind of test. In math, I believe that those tests more or less test what the kids know.
Yeah.
And in higher level English, they will never capture fully what you've hoped to give to students.
Could you tell us a bit more about where people can find your course?
Sure. My website is roxanaeldon.com, and it is hopefully set up so that you can find everything that you need about
set
me.
Up like that. Yeah.
You can download a free classroom management guide, and that will also put you on my occasional mailing list where I'll share thoughts about teaching. Everything is geared toward making your teacher life more manageable.
Okay. Roxana Eldon, thank you so much for joining us.
Can I say thank you for having me now?
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. This was a fantastic conversation.
Back and I'm better than ever. I think I got a vendetta.
Hi, I'm just going to cut in here really quickly to tell you that you can find the link to Bryan Dewsbury's podcast, Knowledge Unbound, plus links to everything that we spoke about in this discussion in the description underneath this video. If you didn't catch the discussion from the beginning and you want to watch it in order as a playlist, there should be a link to that playlist flashing on your screen right now. And now I'm going to send you back to the closeout of the podcast where Bryan is talking about some of his takeaways of this discussion with his producer, Segev Amasai.
Knowledge Unbound is brought to you by the Rios Institute for Racially Just, Inclusive, Open STEM Education. We are generously funded by the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation. Thank you once again to my guest today, Roxana Eldon Valmar. You can catch her book, See Me After Class, and Adequate Yearly Progress, wherever you buy your books. As always, the producer, Mr. Segev Amasai, class of 2025. Segev, how was that episode?
It's very insightful.
In what way? The answer. The reason why I ask is because this is our first episode that kind of looks at secondary education directly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the authors, Roxana, was talking about teachers. And I guess just for you, since you're closer to secondary education than I was, I just wondered how some of the things that she brought up, how it sat with you.
The one thing that just really stuck out to me was just how long she's been doing this for. A good 15 years, because her book was released in 2009.
Yeah.
So, definitely you can definitely take the word of someone that's been doing this for quite a long time and just kind of see how her work evolves, with
Over time.
over time.
Yeah, for me, it's, and I guess this is my parting message. The way I would put it, I guess when I read her books, especially Adequate Yearly Progress, and See Me After Class to a certain extent, but everything has a hidden curriculum. We talk about hidden curriculum a lot when it comes to students and the things that they aren't told or need to find out to be successful in higher ed. But even when we practice our craft at whatever level we do that practice at, there are things they don't say out loud, and maybe to the extent that her work says the quiet part out loud, that was really enjoyable. So I hope that's what you take from our conversation this week. This is a bonus episode. We just wanted to do something special for all of the teachers, professors included, who are going back to the classroom. We want to wish you just the very, very best academic year going forward, and hope that your students bring you pride and joy and love and community, and that you do as you always do, which is put your best foot forward in the classroom. As always, please be excellent to each other.